Hello. If you're there, type something. Say hello back. How is everybody today? Hope you are all well. Okay, so shall we get started? Everybody's feeling a little bit quiet today. Hello. If you can hear me, type. You can say hello, you can type hi. So we're going to talk about a very interesting topic today. We're going to be talking about the present perfect. So, first of all, I'm going to ask you all a question, and I would like you to answer this question. So, maybe you could write the most exotic place you have ever visited. Or, alternatively, the most adventurous activity you have ever tried. So it would be great if you could type your answers. So, for example, I can go first. The most exotic place I have ever visited is the Philippines. It's very hot and it's very tropical. Hi, Laura. Nice to see you. Hope you are well today. What's the most exotic place you have ever visited? Hi, Isabel. How are you? Hope you are well. So it would be great if Laura and Isabel, if you could answer one of the questions. The most exotic place you have ever visited, or the most adventurous activity you have ever tried. Maybe you need to think about it. Maybe you have a very exciting life. Nice. Laura, you went to French Guiana, and Isabel, you visited Madagascar. Nice, perfect. Lovely. Very tropical and exotic destinations to visit. Nice. Great. So, as you know, the topic for today is the present perfect. So this is one of our lessons in a series of lessons about sounding more natural in English. So one of the big problems with the present perfect is that it doesn't really exist in French. So when you translate it directly, you see the words in English and you think, oh, it's like the passé composé, but it's not the same as the passé composé. It's slightly different, and it's a tense which doesn't really technically exist in French. It's kind of in between the past and the present. This is the present perfect. It's almost the present in some ways, but related to the past as well. So it can be a little bit confusing to use in English sometimes, and often French speakers overuse the present perfect. So what we will do today is talk about the times when it's suitable to use it. So, first of all, do you any of you have any idea when do we use the present perfect? So maybe you already had a lesson with your teacher, maybe you watched a video about it before. So maybe Isabel or Laura or the others who are feeling quiet, maybe you want to write something, give us an idea or give us a hint about when we use the present perfect. And then I will help you out. So I'll give you a clue. The word present is in the title. Okay, so I'll help you out. Sometimes it can be difficult to describe it. Okay, so the first time when we use the present perfect, we are talking about actions or states. Yes, no problem, I'll help you out, Isabel. That started in the past and have not finished. So they are still related. Yes, great, perfect. You've just typed it there. An action done in the past but with an impact on the present. Perfect, great. Thank you very much, Laura. Yes, great. So for example, if I say to all of you, I have lived in Paris for 2 years. Here the logic is I moved to Paris 2 years ago. So it started in the past and up until the present day, right now, as we speak, I still live in Paris. So obviously in French, you would use a different tense, but here we would use the present perfect. So you can also write the same if you want to talk about the village or the town or the city where you live. Or maybe you moved house. You could say, I have lived in my house for 5 years, maybe before you lived in an apartment or you lived in a different house, in a different place. Or this is really great for when you're talking about your job. So a very common question that people might ask you in English is, how long have you worked at your company? You can see that this question is in the present perfect. Very common in English. So it would be great, Isabel, Laura, other people watching, hello, if you could write the answer. So how long have you worked at your company? So it'd be great if you could use the full form of the present perfect when you answer it. Maybe I will help you out a little bit. So first of all, you definitely need to start with I have. And then after that, you would use the past participle. So in this case, it would be I have worked. Okay, Isabel, great. So here you would say I have worked at my company for 43 years. So Isabel, it would have started in the past, 43 years ago. And it's now still relevant in the present. Laura, I have worked at my company for 9 years. Yes, exactly. Great. Perfect. Nice. And of course, you can also use it to talk about somebody else as well. Maybe you want to talk about your partner or a friend. He has worked at his company for 5 years. If you are talking about maybe your husband or if you are talking about a friend, for example. Great. So let's move on to the next instance where you use the present perfect. So we also use the present perfect for recent past events that are relevant now. So it's also really important that you don't really say when it happened. It's like a general question. Again, something very common in English, perhaps very common at work as well. For example, something that your manager might say to you. Have you finished the project? Have you finished the document? Have you sent the email? So here it's a recent past event. There is the assumption that you finished it, so it's a general question about it. Or if you want to respond, perhaps you did something quite recently. Maybe you could say in the last few minutes or the last few hours, I have sent the email to the client. So that would be in response to what your boss said. So maybe just before watching this video, you have done something. So for example, I could say, in my case as well, I have set up this YouTube live, for example, because it's a very recent past event. I did it 15 minutes ago. How about you guys? Could you write something? Could you type a recent past event that is relevant now? So maybe something that you were doing maybe just before watching this YouTube live, for example. Yes, great, Isabel. Thank you very much. I have traveled by train. Exactly. Great. So you've traveled by train, you've come home, and now you are watching me on YouTube. Exactly. Great. Nice. Okay. So if everyone else is feeling a little bit shy, we'll move on to the next one and the final one. So when we talk about general experiences in your life, here we use the present perfect. It's uncommon to use the past simple because we're talking about like your whole lifetime. So a very common way to start this in English is instead you say, have you ever? And then you add the past participle. Again, a very, very common question in English. So for example, maybe I could ask some of you, have you ever visited China? So it'd be great if you guys could answer it. So for example, me, I have never been to China. Have you ever been to China? Or have you ever visited China? Hello Sylvie and Patrick. Have you ever seen the Empire State Building? That's a great question. Nice. Yes. To answer your question, Sylvie, I have seen the Empire State Building. It's very impressive. Have you seen the Empire State Building? Has anybody seen the Empire State Building here? Isabel, I have not visited China. Exactly. Great. You can also, if you want to really emphasize it, you can also say, I have never visited China. So just to really emphasize that you did not visit China. Of course, if you want to use it in the positive form, you could also add a time reference as well. For example, if I say, I have been to Spain 5 times. This means that in my whole lifetime, I've been to Spain 5 times. And there's also this feeling that I will probably return in the future as well. Thank you very much for that, Sylvie. Yes, I have visited. Yes. So just be careful. When it's the positive form, you say I have, and then you have the past participle. And only when it's in the negative form, you say I have never, or I have not. It's only in the question form you say have you ever. So the ever is only in the question form, but not in when you give your response. So, but great, yes. Yes, you have visited the Empire State Building. Nice, great. Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you all a few questions. So based on everything we just said before, the first question I have for you is, if somebody asks you, have you ever been to the USA? And the answer is no, how do you respond? So it would be great if you could type it in the full form. Maybe you have been to the USA. Maybe you want to say yes instead. So I can help you out with the positive form. So if you want to say yes, you would say, yes, I have been to the USA 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, however many times. Sylvie, I have never been, so just be careful with the preposition, to the United States of America. But yes, exactly, very good. I have never been. Very good word order. Nice. Great. Nice. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So it relates to the first thing that we spoke about. Tell me about the amount of time in your current job using the present perfect. So people might say to you, how long have you worked in your current job? How would you answer this question? So I would type it, but then I would tell you the answer if I type it. Maybe I will help you out with this one. Okay. So, no worries, Isabel. So, I can use myself as an example. So, I could say, I have worked at Cercle de Langues either for 1 year or since 2019. Again, here the idea is that I started to work for Cercle de Langues 1 year ago, and up until the present, it is still relevant. And just depending on whether you use the year, or you want to specify the time. So here you would say for if it's the number of years, and you would say since if it's the exact year. So maybe Isabel or Sylvie, you'd like to try. So how long have you worked at your company? Yes, great, Isabel. So I have worked at the bank for 43 years. Perfect. Great. Nice. Thanks for that. There's a few of you who are a little bit shy. Feel free to participate. Feel free to answer the question. Okay, great. So we'll move on to the next one. So again, let's imagine that you are at work and your colleague, thanks for that, Sylvie. I've worked at home since 1984. I am a nanny. Yes, exactly. Perfect. Very good. Okay, so the third question. Your colleague wants to know if you finished a task and you did it 1 minute ago. So how do you respond? Oh, let me just write that again. So I'll just repeat that. So your colleague wants to know if you finished the task, you did it 1 minute ago, so just in the recent past, how do you respond? Great, Sylvie. Nice. Sylvie and Patrick. It's team effort. I haven't finished yet. Exactly. So if you want to respond negatively, you can say, I haven't finished yet. Very good. But there is the feeling that you will finish the task soon. Nice. And if we want to respond positively, so if we want to say yes, how would you answer this using the present perfect? So the question could be, have you finished it? So your response could be, yes, I have finished. Yes, exactly. Good. And if there is something specific, like they say a task or a project, just remember to add the it. So if your colleague says, have you finished the task? Yes, I have finished it. It is the task. Okay, great, perfect, nice. So I'm going to write 2 sentences and I want you to tell me what you think the difference is between these 2 sentences. So the first sentence is, I drank 2 coffees today, versus I have drunk 2 coffees today. So the first sentence is in the past simple, but the second sentence is in the present perfect. So obviously they are using 2 different tenses. So what do you think the difference is with these 2 sentences? Or what is the different feeling? So in which sentence do you think I will drink more coffee in the future? The first sentence or the second sentence? Okay, so it's the past. Isabel, yes. Sylvie, the first is a habit. Yes, so drank is the past simple, so it happened and it's finished. So good. Okay, I will explain the difference. So if you say, I drank 2 coffees, this is in the past, it's finished, and it's over. So no more coffee today. 2 is enough. But when I say, I have drunk 2 coffees today, maybe there's a feeling of maybe more. You are not finished with the activity yet. So we also use the present perfect for activities which may also continue in the future as well. So if we think about our jobs, for example, it started in the past, it's still relevant now in the present because we work at our companies, we work at our jobs, and obviously tomorrow we will come back again as well. So that's the feeling with the present perfect. It kind of can be used for, it's relevant to kind of all tenses, whereas with the past simple, it's completely finished. And like I said, it can often be confused because in French, you have the passé composé and this is finished. But when you translate it back, when you translate it directly, it's similar to how you translate the present perfect in English because of to have and avoir. So it can be a little bit confusing sometimes. And one final point, it's really important to note that when you use the present perfect, that you have to use the past participle. So I'm sure that you remember that when you were at school and you have to learn all the verbs and you have to learn it like see, saw, seen, it's that third category. Sometimes you think, why do I have to learn this third verb? This is when it's applicable. This is when you need to use it. So, for example, if I say to you, eat and ate, what is the past participle of this? Do you remember? So, for example, maybe I could say, eaten, good, Sylvie, nice, great, perfect. So again, for example, if I say, I have eaten a banana today, again, maybe there is this feeling of maybe I'm going to eat another banana later, perhaps. But if I say, I ate a banana today, that's it. There's no more bananas today. So, great. So, let's try another one. So if we have do and if we have did, what is the final one, the past participle here? Great, done, nice. You know your verbs very well. Good. Okay, so if we have go and if we have went, hi Danielle, yes, done, great, thank you very much. So how about the next one? So go, went. What's the final past participle? Anybody? You guys are researching it? Hopefully not. You know what it is, I hope. So, gone, great, everyone's saying it now, perfect. Okay, so we just have a couple of minutes left, so it would be great just to finish off if you could all write a sentence in the present perfect. So just write one example sentence. Maybe you want to talk about a destination you have visited in the past or that you have been to. Maybe you want to talk about what you have eaten today. So it would be great just to finish off with an example sentence. So for example, I am British. Therefore, I have seen many movies with Hugh Grant. He is a famous British actor. So as a result, he's very popular. He stars in many movies, So I have seen many movies with Hugh Grant, and probably in the future I will see more movies with Hugh Grant. So let's see your sentences. You have already visited an Amish town. Very interesting, Sylvie and Patrick. Nice, great. Oh, Isabel, you love Hugh Grant. Yes, Hugh Grant is a gentleman, a British gentleman. Nice, great. Okay, anybody else got any example sentences? Perhaps Danielle? So, okay, everyone's getting shy again. Okay, great. So we're going to end there today. Thank you all so much for your participation today. So as I said in the beginning, this is part of a series that we are doing. It's called Sounding More Natural in English. So we are running this series in order to help you sound more English, sound more natural in English. So join next week. So next Tuesday, we are going to be talking about how often you do things in English, and next week it will be on Tuesday at 7:15. Okay, Danielle, I have gone to Universal Studios past year. Yes, very nice. Great, thank you very much for that. So like I said, thank you all very much for joining, and I hope to see you again next week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sylvie. Have a nice evening as well. Thank you, Isabel. Bye-bye.